Hi, my name is TJ with On Point Archery in Norwalk, Connecticut, and today I'd like to talk about your outside the average archer. So the archery industry is based on a person with a 28-inch draw length. They all got together at some point, decided your average human being pulls a bow 28 inches. So when the engineers design bows, and most of the bows on the market are marketed with an archer of that stature in mind. That's all well and good if you're an average person. However, sometimes archers fit something other than an average mold. A lot of times female archers aren't going to get all the way to that 27 or 28 inch draw length. So there are most companies will market bows directly for outside your standard archer or standard draw length archer. Sometimes they're marketed to females, sometimes they're marketed to long draw archers. Here at On Point Archery, we try to cater to everyone. So we have a bunch of bows in stock that will fit not only your average archer, but someone who's looking at something a little bit different. Be it a female archer, just a shorter statured individual, or be it a long draw archer. Today I'm going to talk about the difference between those bows and what makes them appropriate for those particular archers. The first bow I want to talk about is Bowtech's Carbon Rose. The Carbon Rose is a 30-inch axle-to-axle bow, so it's a little bit shorter axle-to-axle than some of the other bows that are on the market. It goes from 22.5 to 27-inch draw lengths. So that's great because doesn't even go to your average standard. 22.5, 27, a lot of smaller frame people are going to be able to shoot that. This bow is 302 feet per second. That means as tested with the arrow that they shot, it shot through a chronograph at 302 feet per second. You can purchase the Carbon Rose in 40, 50, and 60-pound draw weights. That's great because sometimes there are companies that make bows that you can fit to any individual. They are very versatile, meaning you can fit a wide range of draw lengths, you can fit a wide range of draw weights. However, bows shoot the best when they are set to their highest peak draw weight, the way the engineers designed it. So when you are shooting a draw length that is appropriate for you, it's ideal for you to shoot the highest weight that bow can accommodate. That means that the bow is going to perform exactly the way the engineers designed it to. Changing it and getting it to something else, even though it is possible, it's not necessarily 100% the way the bow was designed. The Carbon Rose being available in 40, 50, and 60-pound draw weights, you can get it exactly where you want it. Even if you want a 60, generally you get 10 pounds of wiggle room. So you can shoot it at 50, you can shoot at 50 at 40, et cetera, et cetera. But it's nice. It's a nice option for someone who doesn't want to get something that fits everyone, and they're looking for something that's a little bit more tailor-made for that specific individual. So the Bowtech Carbon Rose is $750, so it's not insanely expensive, and it's very light at 3.2 pounds unaccessorized. That's something when you're going to be doing any kind of miles in the woods, hauling a bow around, a weight's going to really start to come in. Next we have Elite Archery's Allure. Again, this bow is marketed and manufactured with the female archer in mind. It comes in 40, 50, and 60-pound draw weights as well. It's 31 inches axle to axle. This is a little bit bigger than the Carbon Rose. It goes from 23 to 28.5-inch draw lengths. So if you happen to be a female that's looking for a female bow that you're a little bit longer than 27 and the Carbon Rose doesn't work for you, the Allure is a great option. Additionally, this bow here shoots an advertised velocity of 340 feet per second. That is lightning fast for a compound bow. The price tag on this guy is $1,249, which is a lot more than the Carbon Rose. You might ask yourself why. Well, in the archery industry, speed sells. Everyone wants to shoot the fastest bow in the market. And it takes a lot of work for those engineers to build this speed into these bows. So as a general rule of thumb, the faster the bow is, the more expensive it's going to be. Whereas the Carbon Rose was 302 feet per second, it was a lot lighter. This bow is a little bit taller, so you're going to get a little bit more oomph out of it, and it's a whopping almost 40 feet per second, 38 feet per second faster than the Carbon Rose, which is why you get the heftier price tag. It's a little bit heavier. It's 4 pounds compared to the 3.2 pounds, but you'll definitely know where it's going. This also comes with Elite set technology, which all of Elite's higher end bows come that make the tuning of this bow very, very simple. So you get all the bells and whistles that Elite offers, along with a very fast advertised velocity built with a specific archer in mind. We have them in stock here at On Point Archery with plenty of different color options available if you don't like that we have. The next thing to consider as an archer is your draw length if you are a taller statured archer. If you can't tell from the videos, I fit that bill. I have a 31.5-inch draw length. which means probably 90% of the industry has boxed me out from the various models that they produce because they just don't go to a length that I can shoot them. There are ways that you can tweak a bow that's outside your draw length. For instance, if you are a 31.5 and you have a bow that is a 31, there is a way that you can tweak the strings and cables to get it to go to 31.5. Sometimes, I absolutely recommend against this because that bow was not designed to shoot at that draw length. And even if we can get the correct draw length to fit you with that shorter bow that wasn't designed for that, the bow is never going to shoot with the kind of accuracy that you're going to want. It's never going to do what you want it to do because you're trying to make it do something its engineers never intended it to. So with that in mind, you're more than likely, if you're over a 31-inch draw length, so I'm talking 31.5, 32, 33, I've even met some guys that are 34-inch draw length archers, you're definitely going to need what's going to be most of the time referred to as a long draw model. A lot of manufacturers will have their initial flagship bow or whatever it is. For instance, Bowtech's Proven 34 comes in a regular Proven 34 as well as a long draw model. And then there are other models by various manufacturers that just happen to have that range of adjustability built into the bow. We're going to show you a few models here today. First up is Bowtech's Proven 34. We have the Bowtech Proven 34 SD, and then this here is the Bowtech Proven 34 LD. There's a little bit of difference between the two bows. Very, very fast. This was their flagship bow prior to the Virtue being released. They're somewhere in the neighborhood of 336 to 331 feet per second. 331 on the long draw, 336, but the real range of adjustability comes in the long draw model. Your standard Proven SD is going to go from 25 to 30 inches, whereas the long draw model is going to go from 26.5 all the way to 32. So if you have anything more than usually a 30, 31, somewhere in there, you're going to need to move to a long draw model. So you might ask, well, what's the difference between the two? They're both Proven 34s. How are they different? Well, the thing with the Proven is if you'll notice here, you can see that the cam on the Proven 34 SD is a little bit smaller than the one on the Proven 34 LD. And that's how they build in that larger range of adjustment. So that's a really good thing for Bowtech because they haven't left those long draw archers out of the equation. We keep both these models in stock here as well as left-handed models. So if you are a long draw archer and you're looking for a home, On Point Archery is trying to be your home. Proven 34 retails for $1,449.99. It's a little bit taller of a bow, so it's going to give you a little bit more stability. That is Bowtech's offering in the long draw world. Next up, we have Elite's Exalt LD. That is their long draw offering. There's an Exalt and then the Exalt LD. This bow is almost 35 inches axle to axle, so it's a lot taller bow, so it's going to afford you that stability when it's up like this. It's 335 feet per second. It's available in models in 50, 60, 65, 70, 75. You can kind of get almost anything you could ever ask for, as well as the colors that it comes with. And it goes from 26.5 all the way to 32 inches. Past 32, you're going to have to look into something else. The price tag on this guy is $1,489.99. So you get Elite's set technology, which makes things very easy from a tuning perspective. Last but certainly not least, we have Bear's Paradigm. While the Paradigm isn't specifically a long draw model, there's no Paradigm and Paradigm LD, it does accommodate up to a 32-inch archer. It starts out at 27, goes all the way to 32. It's 333 feet per second, so it's pretty fast, as well as it's got an axle to axle of only 33 inches, so it's a little bit shorter than some of those other long draw bows. The Paradigm comes in two draw weight specific models. You have one model that can go from 45 pounds of draw weight all the way to 60 pounds, and then you have another model that goes from 55 pounds all the way to 70 pounds. So you need to think about where you want to be as a shooter, because if you purchase the model that only goes to 60, the only way to get it to go to more to 60 is to change out the limbs or buy another bow. Whereas some of those other ones, you get 10 pounds of draw weight, usually wiggle room. If you have a 70, we can get it down to 60. If you have a 60, we can get down to 50. Bear's offering you 15 pounds of draw weight wiggle room, depending on where you want to be as a shooter. The price tag on this guy is like $650. If you are a long draw archer historically and you needed a long draw bow, you're usually going to go to the flagship models and the long draw version of those models. So it also accompanies that is the flagship price tags. $1,200, $1,400, $1,500 is never off the table for a flagship bow from any of the top companies. If you are a long draw archer and you are looking to get into a bow for under $1,000, even less than that, the Bear Paradigm is probably one of the only options that are out there. You're not going to find a bow at 333 feet per second going out to 32 inches for a $650 price tag or anything other than the Paradigm. Bear has some other offerings that go out that far as well, like the Surpass, and I think there's a new model coming out that's going to go all the way to 32 inches as well. But for a long draw archer, this is about as inexpensive as you're going to get and still be able to accommodate those long draws.